Some warnings aren't meant to be understood. They're meant to be obeyed. Dan froze with his hands still resting on the doorknob. Do not open. The letters had never lied. Not once, not even when their truth terrified him. But the voice outside the door, the one whispering "not again, not this time," sounded human, desperate, familiar in a way he couldn't explain. He stepped backwards slowly, breath trembling. Another knock, softer now, almost pleading. "Daniel, open the door, please." Hearing his full name twisted something in his chest. The old woman had used it. The visions had spoken it. The letters always printed it. But this voice, this one felt like it knew him from somewhere deeper. Dan didn't open the door. He picked up the letter instead and tore it open. This one had more than one line. "You are not being hunted. You are being warned. The man outside is dangerous. He knows what you will become. He will stop you before you understand." Dan's heartbeat thudded painfully in his ears. "What I will become?" The doorknob rattled violently. "Daniel!" The voice cracked. "If you open this door, I can tell you everything." Dan took another step back. The man outside grew frustrated, his tone shifting from pleading to sharp, cold anger. "Last chance. Open it now." Dan whispered to himself, "Number." Silence. Then footsteps, slow retreating footsteps, down the hall, then gone. Dan waited several minutes before approaching the peephole. The hallway was empty, but the air felt wrong, thick, charged, as if danger were lingering even after the body left. Dan barely closed the blinds when another letter slid under the door. This one was rushed, ink slanted, words uneven. "He will be back. He is not alone. There are others who receive letters, but not from the same sender." Dan's chest tightened. "How many?" he whispered to the empty room, as if the letter heard him. The bottom edge unfolded itself slightly, revealing one more sentence, so faint it almost wasn't visible. Enough to shift the future, enough to destroy it. Dan staggered back until he hit the wall. He thought he was part of a miracle, part of a destiny, chosen for something good. But now, he might be caught in a war. A war between people who saw the future differently. A war he didn't understand. 3:14 a.m. Sleep was impossible. Dan sat on the floor with the lights off, watching the hallway through the slightest opening in the blinds. Then, a silhouette appeared at the far end of the hallway. Tall, broad shoulders, slow steps, purposeful. The man was back. Dan's pulse hammered like fists against a door. The figure stopped right in front of his apartment, not knocking, not speaking, just watching. A shadow among shadows. Dan whispered toward the envelope pile. "Tell me what to do." A soft rustle. A fourth letter slid under the door. This one held only 2 words. "Hide now." Dan didn't question it. He crawled into the pantry, pulled the door closed, and held his breath. The apartment door slowly creaked open. No knock. No warning. Just the soft sound of shoes on the floor. The stranger walked inside. Dan heard drawers opening, footsteps crossing the living room, a chair being moved. Then, a whisper. "Daniel, I know you're listening." The stranger's voice was calm now, controlled. Too controlled. "You received your first letter 4 months ago, yes?" Dan stayed silent. "I received mine 3 years ago." Dan stiffened. This man wasn't confused. He wasn't lost. He was ahead. "You think your sender wants to protect you. Mine warned me about you. Dan's blood ran cold. You're going to interfere with the future. Change things you're not meant to change. A pause. And I am meant to stop you. Footsteps approached the pantry door. Dan squeezed his eyes shut. The doorknob turned. A beat of silence. Then the stranger chuckled softly. You're not here. A lie. A terrible, deliberate lie. He knew Dan was inside. He wanted Dan terrified. That was the game. The pantry door remained closed. The man stepped back. Tomorrow night, he said calmly, someone will receive a letter telling them where to find you. They will not hesitate as I did. Silence. Then the apartment door opened and closed. Dan waited 5 full minutes before crawling out, shaking uncontrollably. On the kitchen table lay a final letter, one the stranger had placed himself. Dan approached it as if it might explode. A single sentence sat in the center, typed, cold, precise. You were not chosen to save lives, Daniel. Dan's fingers trembled as he picked it up. He turned the paper over. Another line waited on the back. You were chosen because one day you will end one.